Hello and namaste. If you haven't already checked out my previous video on how to repel and remove ticks and fleas from your dogs, please do so because this is kind of a follow-up on that one. I will add the link in the description for you. In that video, I talk about removing ticks and fleas using Spot On. Now, as I always say, please do not go and buy things randomly from the market and start applying it on your dog. In this video, I'm going to take you through all the steps that you need to do when you plan to apply Spot On onto your dogs. It can be like a monthly routine that you follow to keep these things at bay. I'm also going to tell you about some do's and don'ts, what precautions that you need to take before and after. And you will even get to see my dog squirming and how we handle that. Now, Spot On is advised by vets to be used once a month. It is painless and your dogs will not feel anything before or after, other than the common like uneasiness or itchiness because the ticks and fleas are kind of getting ejected from their system, I suppose. The entire process is pretty simple and it doesn't take too long. So that's why you can do it once in a month. The one that I'm using currently, I think this was recommended by the vet. As always, consult with the vet. This is the one that I'm using. Doesn't have a picture of an Indian there, but you can use it. Because it says for dogs 10 to 20 kgs. So I have two dogs. One dog weighs around 13.5 kgs and the other one is about 15.5. So, it works perfectly for them. They are adults. One is almost a year old and the other one is 3 years old. So we have reached that stage where we can administer this at home on our own. But if you're not sure and you're not certain about anything, always go and talk to the vet. Other than checking that it's for dogs and then it has the appropriate weight that is suitable for your pets at home, I also checked for dates. Now it's really tiny, but it's at the back here. And it's well within its expiration date, so we can go ahead and use this. This is going to be my first unboxing video ever. I will show you in detail about the contents inside of this and what to do with them at a later stage in this video, but just to tell you a little bit more. So it comes with like a clasp, which I have kind of broken now. And with it, you will see a lot of directions for use. It's really tiny, but you can see it here. It comes with a set of warnings as well. And you have to store it away from heat and direct sunlight. The recommended dose for this is 1 Spot On for 1 pet. So if you've got many pets, don't use the same Spot On or the same tube for all the pets. It doesn't work like that. Maybe it's going to be less effective. So you want to make sure that the recommended dose is followed. Also, do not use this on any damaged skin or wounded skin. Make sure that the skin is free of any kind of damage. Do not use this if your dog is sick or has a fever or is just weak in general due to any kind of illness. This is to be used when the dog is healthy. So let's get started. Before you're doing all of this, remove the collar of the dog and then do the entire treatment, and then don't put the collar back on at least for the next 2-3 days. I'm reusing this razor because I've just used it once a month ago, but you can also use a fresh one. Then I'm just going to take a little bit of this antiseptic liquid and kind of cleanse the blades. So take a little bit onto the cotton and then dab it onto the blades. And then I'm just going to rinse it off after a few seconds. This is just to remove any germs or anything that may have been stuck on the razor. Wipe it completely dry once you're done. There should not be any substance or any residue left onto the razor. No water, nothing. Because you have to put Spot On onto a dry surface with a dry razor. Firstly, you need to select an area that the dogs cannot reach. Preferably the back of their neck where they cannot reach or scratch with their paws or rub it off. So then we are gently going to move the razor upward and downward in a quick motion. This way the fur doesn't get stuck onto the razor. You can see that the slow gradual strokes actually end up gathering some fur onto the razor blade. So we want to avoid that. You need to shave until you see the skin of the dog, because the ointment needs to be applied onto the skin and not the fur. You can see that the skin is already visible on this one. Just going to shave a little bit more to the right and then we're good to go. Once you open up the box, you will find a small tube in there. This tube contains the liquid that you need to apply onto the dog. It's only 1.34 ml, that's why it does not fill up the entire tube. Then you just have to twist open the cap. So just a twisting motion will open up the liquid, so do it slowly so you don't squeeze out the liquid from the tube. And then once you have opened it up, follow along for the next steps. He's refusing to sit still and just wandering around in the room and picking up a corner that he finds more comfortable. Your dog can get a bit restless and not want to be around in the same room when you're doing all these things. I'm bribing him with a treat and he's now up and jumpy again and he's excited and he wants more treats, so he's going to be more cooperative now. But looks like he's figured out the smell of the spot on, so he's running away again. But the solution is more treats and some distraction that can help you apply the ointment. Just like this one, some pets can put up a challenge. So you just need to grab that little window of opportunity you have and kind of squeeze in that ointment when you can. She's a bit more calm, so the whole process is easier with her. Just going to empty out the entire tube and kind of squeeze it in that space that you can see. They tend to get a bit uneasy because firstly it's cold and it's a liquid that's on their neck. They don't like that feeling very much. We end this by giving them treats and congratulating them on how patient they have been and thanking them for being so nice to us.
Another treat.
Good job.
Well done, Hope. Well done.
Now some do's and don'ts for this entire procedure. Firstly, make sure that it gets to dry. So if you can, leave it untouched, that would be great. The best time to put this is usually at night because then they fall asleep, right? If you have more than one dog, they might want to play with each other. So nighttime is better because then they are resting and they're not going to wrestle with each other and kind of accidentally bite the area that you have just applied the spot on. Pick a time in the day when the dog tends to sleep more, is going to rest more, so it doesn't rub the back of its neck in any way. Give your dog lots of treats because they get a bit uncomfortable and treats always make their lives easier. Do not pet the dog in that area that contains the liquid because it is a treatment after all and you're not supposed to get on your hands. The dog needs to get all of it, not you. So avoid touching that area completely. Do not apply any other oil or lotion or spray or anything on the dog for the next 48 hours at least. Wait at least 48 to 72 hours if you want to shower your dog. The best thing to do is first shower your dog so it has completely cleaned itself and maybe the fleas and stuff are already getting irritated and are gonna start coming out. And then you even apply this treatment. Now do not apply it on the wet dog, but maybe wait until the dog is completely dry or maybe a day after you have showered the dog and then put this treatment because you cannot shower the dog for the next 2-3 days after you've applied the treatment. Do not let your dog start climbing on things and like rubbing on his back or his neck. Avoid that. What to expect once you have done this entire spot on treatment? Um, well, usually I see my dogs rubbing their nose and their paws like this. So if you sprayed like a strong perfume or deo or just a strong kind of fragrance in the air, you can see your dogs like going to a mat and rubbing their nose and like sneezing a little bit, right? So similar to that, you see that kind of action where they are trying to rotate in the mat. Maybe it's the cold feeling on the back of their shoulder, or maybe it's just the ticks and fleas jumping around. Not too sure what's happening there, but I've seen this immediately happen after a few minutes of applying spot on. Something that I've noticed on the following day, so the day after putting spot on, so you see these really hard, tiny, tiny, tiny dots, black dots or something. It's actually, in my opinion, tiny eggs. I feel like nymphs and those tiny eggs of the ticks and fleas, because they're kind of just started surrounding. So I think they're starting to die or just dead and kind of are coming out and are there in the neck. If your dog is a lighter color, then I think it's easier to spot this. But if your dog has a darker coat, you will not be able to see it, but I think you can feel it when you just like rub your hands around their neck. It's a good practice to also comb that area out, not the one where you have done the treatment, but slightly below it, and you can spot some on the brush or the comb that you're using to detangle. And the last thing to expect in the coming few days is a tick and flea free dog. Now for the last part, we're just going to clean the razor and disinfect it. In order to do so, we're taking the alcohol swab, which is already present in the packet, and then rip off the wrapper slowly. Inside you will find a small sheet. It's a really tiny paper basically. You take that paper and then you smear it along the blade and kind of cleanse the sides of it to remove any particles that may have been stuck on it and to disinfect it. You can also use it to sanitize the area around any surface that you might want to clean. You can then store the razor in a safe place, in a case or something that it came in. If you wish to dispose of the razor, then do so carefully. Please be mindful of the waste that you're generating in general, so if you don't need to dispose it off right away, then don't do so. Dispose of the wrapper and the box and everything that came with it in a proper manner. So hope this video has helped you get one step closer to removing ticks and fleas. So that's it from me. Let me know if you have any more questions, and I will see you next time.